think the reasons why Italians are so well known for their style isn't because they shop a lot or dress for the latest trends. It's because they dress to look good. There's a difference, let me explain. So much of Italian life is spent outside the home. The average Italian day starts with a visit to their local cafe, their bar, they see their barista, they see people they know. In all of these interactions, Italians want you to walk away thinking they looked good, you know, they look well. Even if their life behind the scenes is like a total dumpster fire, they present themselves to the outside world in a way that still looks and feels good. My mom calls this fare la bella figura, and this is a very popular Italian expression. Essentially, it loosely means always presenting yourself well, and that goes beyond clothes. For example, if you have a client coming to visit, it means you greet them at the door, you pay for their coffee, you walk them out, all of those little things that have to do with the outward presentation and respect for yourself and respect for others. I love this because it's a reminder that our clothes and the outer visual story that we present to the world is part of the internal narrative that we tell ourselves. So it's a constant reminder to show up for ourselves, even if we're not feeling it. I'm taking 4 styling cues from the Italians for the spring season. They can all be replicated in some way with the clothes we already have. The first theme I've noticed is dramatic proportions. Now, this is a little bit trend-led because what I'm seeing a lot is these oversized blazers or oversized bombers, coats, and then short, like mini skirts or shorts on the bottom, and then boots. Everyone is still wearing boots here, which balances out that big oversized blazer or jacket on top. I think this is really cool because proportions that seem off balance can add a lot of drama and interest to a look. I don't think you necessarily have to play with the trend-led oversized blazer with shorts and boots. If you have an oversized knit or even an oversized button-up shirt, it also doesn't have to be the same proportion play. The whole point is that there is a dramatic difference in the volume of the clothes. So maybe instead a wide leg trouser or a super oversized cargo pant and then something super slim fitting on top. With these styling tweaks, it's never about having the exact garment or replicating the exact outfit. It's about taking the elements of style, which in this case are the big difference in proportions, and mixing and matching them to suit you. If you struggle with this concept of proportions or elements of style, grab a ticket to my live Shop Your Closet. It's coming up on May 31st, and we practice these with real models. You get to see how these concepts of elements of style are applied to real bodies, real closets. Tickets and details are in the description box below. I would love to have you there. The next thing I'm seeing a lot of is silk scarves, but styled in a very unfussy way. I think a lot of us have a hard time styling silk scarves because they can feel really affected when we wear them around our neck. To style them in a way that feels unfussy, we need to counteract those romantic elements with the rest of our outfit. Think of the opposite vibes and elements of a silk scarf. Architectural or structured jewelry is a great idea. I love this because it's so close to the scarf, it makes that contrast really obvious. It also modernizes and personalizes the silk scarf. So if we pair them with something completely opposite, for example, like with anything that has structure, a blazer, a shirt, something tailored, it makes them feel more effortless and easy versus something that you're trying really hard to style, which is another way to use contrast and tension to create a look that feels more dynamic and interesting. I love the idea of the silk scarf paired with a classic men's button-up or a blazer. There's a lot of power in pairing and styling something that feels really heavy on one point of view, like the femininity and romance of the silk scarf, with something that feels completely opposite. I'm also seeing a lot of layering. I know that sounds really obvious, but often the simplest and most common sense styling tweaks are the ones that we forget about. What makes this layering tweak so interesting is the unexpected layer. If they're adding a jacket on top of a look, it's a jacket that feels different from the vibe of the rest of the look. It's unexpected. So instead of just just doing an unexpected accessory. They're actually taking that third piece or their outerwear as the way to add some irony and interest and intention. I actually tried this by using my light running jacket as my regular outerwear layer, and I loved it. I also found it worked really well when I needed some extra warmth under my little cropped boxy jacket, and I never would have done this without looking at this styling tweak. The classic and really obvious wearing your sweater over your shoulders as a scarf, kind of a mainstay at this point. I think some of us shy away from doing it because it feels a little try too hard. It's also a much more functional option compared to wearing a big scarf around your neck that can only really be worn one way. It always looks chic, it adds texture, and it adds a bit more depth to your look. I think our first inclination when it comes to spring and summer and lighter months is we immediately want to pull out our colored and lighter clothes, but we still pair them with black. And there's nothing wrong with this, but in the spring and summer months, we want our clothes to feel fresher. And sometimes that black paired with a color can really weigh it down and make it feel heavy. What I really like are those non-neutral neutrals paired with these spring colors. So instead of a stark white or black, think of like a khaki or an olive green, ecru, even things like a slate blue or a gray, tans. These add a softer element and feel more spring-like. The same goes for prints. We often think that we have to keep the rest of the look really neutral and quiet, and that's definitely a good styling hack if you want it to be the focal point, but sometimes it's fun to expand and just go hard on the color and fun. This is a really fun styling cue from the Italians, who are so good at pulling out color from the print and mixing other colorful items with it. If something looks and feels off to you, then it probably is. Don't think too hard about this. And worst case, you wear something for one day and you realize maybe it wasn't amazing. That's okay. You can get dressed again tomorrow. I think we try so hard to make sure we're wearing the right things, and we kind of stop listening to our own intuition about what we know looks and feels good on us. Play around and have fun with it. We're allowed to make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. And we usually end up learning something new about our own personal taste. So that is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, or even if it just gave you an idea for how to style your existing wardrobe, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching and for being interested in choosing creativity instead of consumption. Grab a ticket to my live Shop Your Closet event. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, your evening, wherever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next slow fashion video.